Decoding Skills Development Legislation with your host, Darren Vandenberg. Hi, and welcome to another legislation review with me, Darren. We're currently unpacking the QCTO's policy for RPL, implementation of RPL. In today's discussion, we're looking at point 7, which is RPL within the OQSF. The OQSF is the Occupational Qualifications Sub-Framework. Okay, so let's dive in. This one talks about the qualifications and part qualifications in the Occupational Qualifications Sub-Framework cover a variety of contexts. The policy recognizes that candidates might seek RPL for various reasons depending on the various contexts. There are two main forms of RPL which reflect the different purposes for which RPL can take place. So in the QCTO, it talks about 2, but there's actually 5 different. I'm going to dive into 1 and 2, and then I'll tell you about the other 3. Okay, the first one is RPL for access. RPL for access provides an alternative access route into a program of learning qualification. For those who do not meet the formal minimum requirements for admission, RPL for access applies to learning programs offered on an accredited education institute, skills development provider, or workplace-based training provider. So basically what happens is this is saying if you want to do a level 5 diploma, you want to actually study a level 5 diploma, but you don't have a level 5 certificate, higher certificate to get in, then instead of paying to do the RPL, paying to do the higher certificate, you can RPL the higher certificate. That would then give you access into doing the diploma. Here's the clincher. If you RPL on a higher certificate, you should totally be given the full qualification and the credits and the certificate. A lot of higher educational institutions, they will not give you the credits. They'll just say, yes, well done, you have your honors, you can start the masters, pay for it, but they won't give you the credits for your honors, and that for me is atrocious. Because you've proven you can do it, you should 100% be given the qualification and the credits. Make sure you fight for that. They are yours. You've earned them. Well done. The second one that the QCTO talks about is RPL for credit. Imagine that. To provide for the formal award of credits for or towards a qualification or part qualification registered on the NQF, which means that if you RPL yourself for a qualification, say a generic management level 5 qualification, and in generic management level 5 qualification, you might have to do 5 different modules. There's no reason why you have to RPL yourself for all 5 modules. You could just do module 1 or module 2. Those are also known as short courses or skills programs. So you might have the skills for those. There's no reason why you can't RPL yourself just for the 1 and 2, and then access 3, 4, and 5 in the training, which should decrease your training bill. So why would you pay the full amount of money for a qualification that you only need modules 3 and 4, not 1, 2, and 5? So you need to negotiate with your training providers a little bit differently around what they're billing you for. So start your RPL for access, in this case. Go for a qualification if you've got the minimum entry requirements. Remember, RPL is not easier than live learning. It's just as much work. So don't kid yourself. It is a lot of work. But demonstrate the skills that you have against the OQSF. Get assessed by the provider. Pay for the RPL, which should be at least a quarter of the price of the full qual. And then only pay for what you need. We're in a world where you pay for what you need and pay for what you consume. It's crazy. Anyway, so they talk about that. I'm going to carry on. I'll carry on with what they're saying, and then don't forget the other 3 reasons why you can RPL. The qualifications on the OQSF sub-framework are occupational and comprise of knowledge, practical, and workplace experience. These qualifications would therefore require a formal teaching and learning environment, a practical simulated environment, as well as actual workplace experience. The knowledge and skills are assessed through a formal, external, integrated summative assessment component. The assessment quality partner must also design and implement a tool to conduct RPL at external summative assessment stage to support the learners that might have difficulties to sit for formal external integration assessment. Within the context of the OQSF, the recognition of prior learning is the evaluation and acknowledgement of the knowledge and skills that a candidate has gained to enable access to qualifications on the OQSF external integrated summative assessment. So this is a little bit questionable here, because this is saying that they want to test knowledge by if you can write an exam. Because if you cannot demonstrate a skill without knowledge, so here they need to kind of think through a little bit more about how to offer that external integrated summative assessment if it's a practical application without having to write a test. So go back to the assessment strategy, go back to how it's designed, and if you are a practitioner in the industry that you are wanting to assess against, go to the QCTO and the guys who designed the qualification and give them your point of view if you think that a written test is of no value to a waiter who has to serve a customer. Because if the waiter has to follow a process of serving a customer and they follow the process correctly and they talk their way through it, why should they write an exam where the exam says, well, what's the process of serving a customer? They demonstrate it anyway. So that's an interesting scenario there. We'd have to kind of come back to that and look a little bit more in detail on what the next steps are. Okay, now, the three other areas for RPL. So we've spoken about RPL for access and RPL for credits. Okay, so credit is like qualification, or access is like RPL for qualification. Now, you can also RPL yourself for designation. So if you're in a professional body and the professional body requires that you become a designation, why can't they have a criteria in place to tell you what the designation is about? So you can absolutely RPL yourself for designation. You can also RPL yourself for promotion. What? Yeah. We're working with clients where they give us the job descriptions. We create an assessment strategy for the job description. So it's nothing to do with the NQF or qualifications or any of those certifications. It's to do with being promoted. Here's the job description. Create an assessment strategy with an artifact defined. Let the person who wants it RPL themselves against that, build a portfolio, get assessed, and then get into the interview. The last one is RPL for competence. So all the HR departments are talking about competence, competencies, what they look like, knowledge, skills. It's great because a company with a good competency framework can create an assessment strategy and an artifact requirement against each competence. Anybody should be able to access that, build that portfolio of evidence against the competencies, artifact defined competence, and get the competence. It is a genius model. What's been missing to this point is a good technology that enables that. So people give up because paper becomes so heavy and then it lands on someone's desk and doesn't get. Now what happens is your assessors could become your line managers. Your reviewers could be the training department to moderate that the assessments keep the assessment fair. Your recruitment gets involved because they give the job spec that goes out to be recruited. And now linked to recruitment is an assessment criteria that a person can build a portfolio against a job description or against a competence. So if you want to move people around your organization and the competencies are changing, they are doing learning every day. They are gaining experience every day. So if I want to move from A to B as an employee, what an epic employee opportunity where I can go and pick any job role or any competence, RPL myself against it, build a portfolio against it, get assessed, and now I'm starting to map my own career within the industry. And I can move into any area that I want to go into. Okay, so that's very interesting. I thought it was in terms of RPL against the OQSF. We'll chat again soon.